Is language nature or nurture? I'd like to think it's nature, but how can I prove it? Well, there is one way. It's called the forbidden experiment, aka a language deprivation experiment. Take a group of children and raise them with absolutely no input and no exposure to language and see if they can still develop it. But even though we call it forbidden and it's clearly unethical, it's actually already been done a few times. Kind of. There are several stories of this happening throughout history, but they're probably just stories. And even if it did happen, they weren't scientifically rigorous and can't be used as proof. There are a couple examples of feral children who were deprived of social interaction and stimulation, who learned a little bit of language, but never fully acquired a native language. But all those cases were only individuals who were taken out of those situations while they were still children and had some level of exposure when they were younger children or even babies. But what if you had a group of children that had no exposure at all, but then grew up, had their own children, and this carried on for a few generations? Well, this has actually been done with birds. This was done with zebra finches, whose young males learned their bird song from a tutor, which is usually the father. When males were raised in isolation, they still tried to sing, but ended up with these long croaks instead of a normal finch song, which was short chirps. And it was hard to get them mates because the females were not really interested because of their terrible song, but eventually some of them did. And those finches copied his father's croaks, but every generation got a little bit better at sounding more like a normal zebra finch song, and by the fourth generation, they sounded just as good as any other finch. So we have those cases of human children that were raised in isolation but never really went on to acquire language. But it seems like if they were in a group of other children in similar situations and then a few generations passed, they would eventually get to regular, fully complex human language. Obviously, birds are not humans, so we can draw comparisons, but we can't say beyond any doubt that that is how a human brain and language is going to work. But I think that, in combination with everything else we've learned about language acquisition, is pretty strong evidence to say that something like that would happen if that did happen with humans. But what do you think? And are there any other cases of something like that happening that you've heard of? Let me know.